Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to take a look at a couple of new EXs, including a Tera EX that, well, I like this one. I'm not sure, I was going to call it the best one, but then I remember that Tera exists. And you know what? I really like Tera, ladies and gentlemen. That is a really cool card. But I do think it's fair to say that if we look at the Tera Slowking EX here, and we combine it with the Tera we saw previously, we can look at this and go, you know what? Yeah. In this set, the Tera EX is way better than they were previously. So yay! That's a good thing. Now, the translations here I did do myself, but I did check with the lovely Antoine Billet to make sure I wasn't doing a silly. And what we've got here is 270 HP, which is honestly about standard for a Stage 1 EX, it's fine. And we got a first attack, single energy, 30 damage, plus confusion, nobody really cares. And I don't mean that in a mean way, it's just maybe on a basic I can get behind that. On a Stage 1, nah mate, way too expensive. But then we've got a much more interesting attack. 2 energy, 130 damage, and you may search your deck for any 2 cards, put them in your hand, and shuffle your deck. And we've actually seen this attack before. We've seen pretty much exactly this on Togekiss V Max, and we've also seen a very similar kind of thing on Charizard and Breaksin. Now that actually let you go and search for 3 cards, which was obviously better than searching for 2, but then obviously that was for 4 energy, which is a lot, so yeah, do kind of bear that in mind as well. And you know what? Searching any 2 cards, while there's only 2 energy on a Stage 1, yeah, that's not worth worrying about. 2 energy, Stage 1, fine. And then you go and search any 2 cards as you go. The problem is, we saw this on Togekiss, and when we saw this on Togekiss, it was potentially for a single energy attachment on a Pokemon with free retreat, and it was colorless energy, so you could use any energy acceleration you like, and it never saw a huge amount of play. Now that was a free prize Pokemon, so maybe there's a bit of an explanation there. That could be it. Maybe the fact that it never hit for weakness was a bit of an issue. But in a world where Togekiss didn't see a huge amount of play, I do think it's fair to ask the question of whether we think this is going to see a huge amount of play. I don't think this is bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is a cool card, and I do think it's going to see a bunch of play. But it does remind me of Togekiss and go, well, hang on a second. In a world where Togekiss didn't see a lot of love, is this going to see a lot of love? And the answer is, yeah, actually, maybe it could. Because one of the cool things about this is, because the X is the Revolutions, you now can use any Slowbro and any Slowking along with Slowking EX, and then start rolling. Now, we do have a bunch, but clearly, and if you've been following these videos at all, you'll know how much I love this one, the Slowbro from Pokemon Go. For 2 energy, if your opponent has exactly 1 prize card remaining, take 2 prize cards. I love this because essentially, if your opponent has 1 prize card remaining and you have 2, you insta-win the game, which is kind of honestly hilarious. So yeah, I'm a really big fan of this one. This one makes me very happy. But if I'm playing Slowking anyway, Slowking EX, well now I can be playing one of these and actually it's fine. I can pop this into my deck with no issues because I'm playing the evolution line anyway. So, job's a good one, frankly. There's also the one from Scarlet and Violet. As often as you like during your turn, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your other Pokemon to this one. Now, admittedly, it's only got 100 HP, so it's not exactly like you can use this to heal every one of your Pokemon after giant hits and any of that. But actually, there's a cool little combo going on here where you move energy over to this to put your opponent down to 1 prize so you can win the game with the other Slowbro. Because this one doesn't, sometimes we see things like this where it says you can't use this if it would KO this, but there's no such thing on the Slowbro from Scarlet and Violet. So you literally can kind of move energy over, KO this Slowbro, put your opponent down to 1 prize remaining, and then take 2 with the Slowbro from Pokemon Go. That's kind of awesome, honestly. There are some fun things that can be done here. As for Slowking, yeah, we've got 1 at the moment. It's the one from Chilling Rain. Choose one of your Pokemon to flip a coin. If heads, heal 90. If tails, put 3 damage counters on it. I mean, yeah. I think it's fair to say that one is a little bit less exciting. But the couple of Slowbro we've got here, I do think we could have a little bit of fun with. And I think the fact that we can now search for any cards while doing decent damage, and we got these other Slowbro with which to combine it, I'm starting to think this could be kind of fun, honestly. I'm starting to think this could be kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and give this between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I don't think this is a game-changing Pokemon, but I do think it is a big step up from the Tera Pokemon we had in the first couple of Japanese sets, and that's a very cool thing indeed. But there is another Pokemon EX which has gone and been revealed, which we need to have a little bit of a chat about, and that is Noivern EX. Although, I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to look quite similar to Noivern GX, because it's incredibly reminiscent of Noivern GX. Now, we got 260 HP, which is fine for a stage 1 here, but you do have free retreat, and being a dragon Pokemon, you have no weakness. That's actually awesome. Free retreat, no weakness, that's a big bonus. For 2 colorless energy, you deal 70 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon from attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon. Cool. I really like this. I like this very much indeed. Now, you're not necessarily going to come across all basic decks all that often, but if you come across something like a Reggie deck, for instance, yeah, you're going to shut down that Reggie deck. Like, pretty much instantly. Because they're sitting there with all basic Pokemon, and you're going to be like, ha, ha, and it's going to be kind of hilarious. Now, obviously, if you are against something like a Lost Box deck, as an example, now this prevents damage, so they are going to be able to drop damage counters with Sableye. So that's going to be one way around it. And there are a bunch of ways around this. There's attacks that go through effects of Pokemon. There's damage counters and special conditions and all this good stuff. There's plenty of ways around this. But there are going to be some decks, and Reggie's really does jump out to me as an option here, where your opponent is just not going to have an answer. And no, I don't think weekly hitting the bench is actually going to make much difference before anybody says it. So, I don't think it's going to work all the time, but for 2 colorless energy, the fact that it's going to shut down some decks pretty much completely is awesome. Of course, do bear in mind that this essentially puts an effect on it, so your opponent can always just kind of switch you to the bench and ruin things. But if you can stay in the active doing this turn after turn after turn, this is going to shut some decks down, and that's kind of hilarious. Unless your opponent can keep switching you out the active. As for the other attacks, Psychic Darkness, during your 140 damage, that's very important. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any special energy or stadium cards from their hand. Cool. Now, it doesn't stop basic energy, and it wouldn't stop things like Archeops, as an example, accelerating from the deck. It is only special energy that is stopped, and it is only from the hand. But this is still going to stop enough to be really annoying to some decks. And again, as with all these kind of attacks, it really depends what you're playing against and what they're relying on. If your opponent really wants to be playing stadiums and special energy, obviously this becomes a way, way, way better attack. That's going to be brilliant. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of rubbish. But you're doing good damage. You're going to be 2-hit KOing a lot. Like Vs, V-Stars, Basic EXs, Stage 1 EXs, they're all 2-hit KO'd with this attack. So you're 2-hit KOing while turning off their stadiums and special energy, and you're putting the effect on the opponent here, so there's nothing they can do to get around this, essentially. They're just stuck with it. And very much like with Noivern GX, It is the combination here that makes me really happy. Noivern had an attack that stopped item cards and an attack that stopped special energy. It was kind of cool, honestly. And that's a similar kind of thing here. You've got one attack that stops basic Pokemon, one attack that stops special energy, and hopefully that's going to work against enough decks. And you've got enough tricks against other decks. I really like this. I'm giving this an extremely tentative 4 Wassies. I think this one could be really very good, but I do think it's worth bearing in mind that perfect it is not, but interesting it most certainly is. That's what I think. I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus pods, join a Discord and chat with us, and get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Austin Montville, who is one of our newer patrons and is a very lovely person. So thank you very much to them for, being a very lovely person and for all the support. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.